Welcome to subramani.com. We make smart people richer. Right. So this topic is selecting a financial advisor. I am not even for a minute saying this is exhaustive. Watch this video, you will take home something as what to ask the financial advisor next time somebody comes to you and asks for your business. Either you have one or you're looking for one. So what are the things that you should look for? So let us say a financial advisor comes to you, he sits with you and says, sir, I think you should do a 5,000 rupee SIP. And the figure you had in mind was something like 2 lakhs per month. Okay. Now take the other case where a person is struggling, wondering how he can afford college fees for his kid, which will cost about 20 lakhs over a 3-4 year period. I'm talking of engineering, I'm not even talking of medicine. And this guy comes and says how you can get admission in Imperial College UK or blah blah blah, and you are wondering, are our personalities matching? So first look for an IFA with whom your personality matches. IFA means Independent Financial Advisor. He's a person who comes to you and advises you on which mutual fund to buy, which health insurance to take, which life insurance to take, etc., etc. So first of all, it is better to be dealing with a person who is like you. If you are a VP in a bank and if your salary is say 40 lakhs, you want somebody who is earning, if not 50 lakhs, at least 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs, who is driving a similar car that you are driving, who has similar aspirations and who at least has clients like you. If he has got clients who are very different from you, for completely different strata, or if you've got clients like film stars and you are a regular income earner, your strategies may not match, right? And if he is not smart enough to understand that you are very different from other clients of his that he has, and he has not even chosen what kind of clients he wants, he's just picked up every client at random, he may not really be suitable for you. So you need to check whether your personalities match. For example, if you are a 55-year-old doctor and you look at a 28-year-old or a 25-year-old young girl or young boy who has just come into the profession, and then he is more likely to nod his head at everything that you say because it's intimidating for him. Very unlikely that a 25-year-old will answer back a 55-year-old doctor who is successful. So even if he has doubts, he is not going to raise it, he is not going to talk about it, he is very, very scared, right? So when you are 55 and you are looking for a financial advisor, look for a 50-year-old successful financial advisor who will stand up to you and push back and say, this won't happen, this can't happen, this is nonsense, right? You want somebody who will stand up to you, not be too pliable, and you want him to be much more than just a form filler or today who will go online and do your investment. That's not what you want. You want a guy who will give you good inputs, also push back and say this is possible, this is not possible, right? You want those things. The relationship with an IFA is like a marriage, so you have to be careful about the person whom you're talking with and how long you're going to be in that relationship. All those things will matter, so be careful. So what are the questions that you should ask him? I mean, I'm sure if you go to Google and say questions to ask the IFA, you will find a million. This I'm talking of something very different. I'm talking of what you have to ask him in the Indian context, in the context of a person who understands equities, because you want to do equity SIP. You also want to do direct equity, so he has to have some understanding of equity. He also has to have an understanding of how people's personality matter when it comes to equity investing, right? So whether he will be able to handhold you during bad times and hold you back during good times, when you want to feel like selling the house and putting everything there, will he hold you back? All those things are important. So the question is, questions that you got to ask him is, how were you investing your money in 1999, in 2001, in 2007, 2008, 2011 and now in 2020, right? he needs to answer all those questions. So you're talking of somebody with about 20 years experience. If he doesn't have that many years experience, adjust the numbers appropriately, at least find out what he was doing during bad times or during panic times. Was he panicking? Was he not panicking? That's very important for you to know. Also ask him a very important question. How did you handle the clients from the 2003 to 2007 boom? Did you reallocate equities? What all did you do? Because it is far more difficult to ask a client to sell in a rising market than asking him to hold on in a falling market. Let me repeat. In a falling market, what happens is the client also is not very inclined to sell, and you tell him, sir, mat becho, ye abhi sudhrega market will improve after some time. So that is something which he also believes, and he also doesn't want to book a loss. He has invested 2 lakhs in a mutual fund that has become 1,98,000. He himself is not too keen to sell, so you asking him to sell is not so difficult. In fact, you asking him to sell when it falls from 198 to 188 is far more difficult, because he's going to say, look, I asked you at 198, you didn't tell me, now 10,000 less and you're asking me to sell. So that is far more difficult. But believe me, much more difficult is asking a client to sell in a rising market, right? So if you take the 2003 to 2007 boom, ask him, what were you doing? What were you doing to help the client? Were you just holding back, or was it laziness that meant that you were holding back, or what was the reason? What was going on in your mind? Did you by any chance maintain an investment diary? What were your other clients doing? All these things are very useful to know how his own personality is. Does he blame himself for what went wrong during that period, or does he say, oh, clients didn't listen to me? The question is, you can turn it and say you didn't communicate properly, but that's not the purpose here. The purpose here is to find out what answers he will give 10 years, 15 years from now, if you reach the target, if you don't reach the target, right? Ask him again what changes he made in those portfolios in 2007, 2010, 2012, or even if he just left it as it is, because that also would not have been a bad strategy, but that should have been a consistent strategy. Ask him what is the current expectations on the equity market, and you will get innovative answers from people. There are people who masquerade as investors, etc., and who are IFAs, who have no clue what they should have answered 5 years back. So don't look at what commentators or advisors tell you today. If they have any electronic track record, go back 15 years, go back 10 years, go back 5 years and see what they were saying. They may be very inconsistent from what they are saying today, right? So be careful about it. If you can trace somebody electronically, that's the best way to know whether what that person said during those periods. Like go back and see what did he say in 2008, 2009, 2010, right? If he's got some electronic footprint and or somebody is willing to share it with you, you will know from his clients what he was doing, and that could be very different from what he tells you what he was doing. Also ask him personally, where do you invest your money? Are you an equity investor? Are you an SIP investor? Or heavens forbid, are you a bank FD holder? There are, I know people who will advise others but keep their own money in bank deposits. That could be a reason, but at least you should know that his money is in bank deposits and not in equity markets. Ask him what kind of returns to expect, write it down, because whenever you ask him, he may not remember, but then after 3-4 months of talking to him, you will know whether he is bluffing or whether he has a plan by which he is answering, right? Ask him whether he does an SIP, does he do a lump sum. There are many advisors who may not be able to afford to do an SIP simply because their earnings could fluctuate, but it is possible that they can do an STP. Whatever they earn, whatever surplus, they keep on putting in a liquid fund, and from that liquid fund they are doing an STP. All this is possible. So ask him SIP, SWP, STP, what do you do, how do you invest, or do you invest in direct equity, whatever. At least you should know what he is doing. Ask him for where to invest for goals with less than 2-year duration, less than 3-year duration, and insist that you want to put money in equity. See how he reacts. Is there a pushback, or he says, sir, it is risky, but I think you can do it. See what he says. Or he says, oh, market has fallen so much, I am sure within 3 years it will go up. See what he says. This is more to gauge what he is saying, and more like a personal interview. It does not mean you're going to do any of these things. Ask him what is his view on F&O, whether he does F&O, how to make money on F&O. Tell him you're very excited about doing 2-3 contracts every day on F&O. You may not do it, you may go nowhere near it, you may be putting money in an index fund, that's a different thing, but just show your face of F&O and see how he reacts to it. That's all, that's the purpose. The purpose is not to do F&O. Also ask him that what would change in his profession if somebody gave him an extra, let's say 10 crores, given the Indian context, something like 10 crores. Would he continue to be in the business? What would he do? Does he enjoy what he's doing? Right? Those kind of questions. Ask him how many clients he has. Does he want to grow? Does he not want to grow? Why does he not want to grow? Will his children come into it? Will his children not come into it? All those kind of questions. Again, more trying to find out the personality him. And ask him how does he say no to clients whose ideology may not match with him. Perfect, right? I mean, if his ideology is very different from yours and it may not match, then what happens? How do you react to it? Do you throw away a client? Do you say no to the client? Ask him his client selection procedure, right? Check out on all this and you will become a better investor, because you would have asked him questions which nobody else has asked him, because mostly people ask a financial planner, or let's call him a financial planner, कितना मिलेगा इसमें, and that's not the question which you have to ask. In fact, it's a question which you shouldn't ask, because you're putting that person under stress. He has to tell you a lie. He cannot tell you I don't know, right? People don't like to listen to that answer, so he has to come up with some innovative lie. So he will. Thank you.